Crap, I hit the go live button faster than I expected. Hello, everyone. Morning. Let's start this off with a sip of coffee. It's a good way to do it. No tea in this video. This is straight up coffee. So Steve August asked a brilliant question. Steve, thank you in advance for asking this question. And your question was, I've had an especially intense session this week with a client during which I finally found out what we're actually working on, which is he's been diagnosed with myelofibrosis, and he's facing a bone marrow transplant and a long time of recovery. Clearly very difficult for him to tell me, and I think one of his biggest challenges is opening up, finding allies for support. If anyone else had experience with clients facing serious medical issues. So, first of all, that sucks for your client. I just really feel a lot of empathy for them because I can't speak to their own experience, but I've heard that bone marrow transplants are the most painful thing you can feel, or one of, and that feels very scary to me. And I just really honor you, Steve, for standing for this person, for holding space for them, and being someone in their lives that they can talk to. So I saw a lot of responses were around the best thing you can do is hold space, really love them, really let them have their process. And I think that that's very true. That's a real gift that a coach can have, or can offer rather. And there's a few other things that I want to touch on in this, because around things like our health and trauma, it gets really challenging to remain coach. Those particular circumstances, if we can call them that, tend to be the things that really throw us off of our swagger. So I'm gonna lay a bit of foundation here, and for some reason I can't see who's joining. I see people watching. I have no idea who's joining. So I apologize, guys. I'm doing my best. So first of all, for things like this, our job as coach is to support people in being powerful in their lives, regardless of the circumstances that show up in their lives. That is our job as coach. At least that's how I hold it. Perhaps you hold it as something different, which is fine. If you do, that's fine. But that's the baseline I'm starting from. And someone is clicking a lot of hearts. Whoever you are awesome. So in situations like this, sometimes it's really important, and you may want to refer your client out to a counselor or a psychologist or a therapist, someone that deals more in the realm of trauma, someone that deals more in the realm of healing and helping people address wounds and scar tissue, I'm talking figuratively, stuff like that. Hey, Michelle. So I think it's important not to overstep that, to really check in with their client like, hey, is this something you really need some counseling sort of support on, something more therapeutic rather than just coaching based? Some coaches hesitate to do that because they don't want to give away their power. They're like, I don't want to, I can support my client, instead of really being for the client and really inviting the client to like maximally use all of the resources that are available. And if we're not helping our clients see that opportunity, it can get really dangerous. This gets into the territory where coaches lean out and start to do things that we really shouldn't. We're not trained therapists, and we shouldn't, and maybe you are, I don't know, but most of us aren't trained therapists. So we should be really cognizant of the boundaries between coaching and therapy. So having said all that, these are great opportunities to coach and support your client. You just want to make sure that you're not stepping over something that may need to be addressed therapeutically at the same time. And there's no reason that a client can't work with both in the therapeutic realm, doing counseling or getting therapy or whatever, while being coaching. I find that a really powerful combination. I know a lot of people do that. I do that. Bay and I both work with a counselor from time to time and have our own coaches. So there's no reason those two things can't be together. It provides a really beautiful set of support for your people. I think actually Amina was asking a question about this just recently in our forum as well, in the Prosperous Coach forum. So there's that. Second is often when people are hit with this kind of trauma, whoever is clicking I am loving all these emoticons showing up. It's like confetti down there. Second, whenever someone gets news like this, it is going to be traumatic. That's going to have an impact on us. It has an effect on our identity. It's tough. And so we want to tread softly. We really want to make sure that the client wants coaching. And the most obvious way to do that is to ask them, to check it out. Like, hey, do you want coaching, or do you just need to vent for a while about this? Do you just need someone to witness you or hear you or love you as you're going through this? And we can provide all of those things. And we want to make sure we give it to the client, because if you jump straight into the coaching, you will likely step over all the emotion that's there and all the feelings and body sensations and very legitimate upset that's going on for them. So this is a lot of what I hear in people's responses, saying like one of the best things you can do is hold space. That's kind of what we're doing. That's kind of what I'm describing, is holding space, letting someone vent, letting them be witnessed, just loving them through this. Kind of like, I remember being trained, and one of my teachers was telling me, Adam, it's like you're just sitting on the stoop after your friend has lost the baseball game. You're just sitting there with him, both sitting there on the stairs, and he's just telling you like how it went wrong, and you're just listening. You're just loving him through that. That's one of the things we can offer. It's a great gift. It's not the only thing that we can offer, and that is more of the get them part of coaching. There's 3 things we do as a coach. We get them, we coach them, and then we leave them. So that is one part of it, is really getting them. I'm just going to adjust this video so I'm looking up at the camera instead of, that's much better. Now we're talking. Get them, coach them, leave them. So we can get them, and we want to check in with the client. Do you want coaching around this? First, I would suggest just really get the hell out of them. Get them so much. Get every fiber of their being, what they're feeling, how this sucks. Really feel it in your body, how this sucks that this has happened. Get them so deeply. And then ask, weird way I said that word, and then ask, would you like some coaching around this? Do you want support with this beyond me just hearing you? And I think it's really important to not just take what your client in these sort of situations takes at face value. Because I don't know about you guys, but anytime someone says, Adam, do you want coaching? My immediate reaction is, I meant to say yes because I'm a coach. Yes, give me coaching. But it's not always true. I don't always want coaching. Sometimes I just want to be right that I'm a victim. I want to be right that life is sucking right now and it's happening at or to me. And that is totally okay. So we want to check with our client, really check in. Would you like coaching around this? Do you want me to support you that way? Are you sure? Whatever. And then here is how we can really coach and support people in this area. We can support them in how they are being in the face of this particular circumstance. So there's a million ways that your client can be about the fact that they've been diagnosed with myelofibrosis. I'm trying to read that and pronounce it right. So that's why it sounds like I have a speech impediment. Myelofibrosis. How does your client want to be about that? Do they want to be at cause for the life that they're living from this diagnosis forward? Do they want to be, I love this distinction, it was given to me when I was working at Accomplishment Coaching. Do they want to be a powerhouse who has myelofibrosis, or do they want to be someone who has myelofibrosis and then is trying to be a powerhouse? There are a million different circumstances that happen to us in our life, and while they all have their own little intricacies, they're all circumstance. None of them have to dictate how we be. And that is the greatest gift you can offer your client. So if they're up for the support, you can reflect to them, hey, I notice you're actually really being victimized by this. Is that what you want in this moment? Again, our job is to clear out how they need to be. And maybe sometimes we just need to be a victim, especially at first. Fuck me, this happened. That sucks. The end. Don't have to do anything different. I got it. It does suck. It really does suck. Fuck you, universe. But as time goes on, most people aren't going to want to stay as a victim, or they may need support just in seeing that that's how they're being about it. And that's the gift you can provide them as coach. You can support them in actually changing the way they are being in the face of this. Can they find a way to empower this? Can they find a way, what do they want to do with this? So now that you've been given this diagnosis, now that you have to go through this, now that this is the set of flaming hot coals for you to walk across, how do you want to be about that? Do you want to be inspiring? Do you want to use this as an opportunity to teach the world something? Do you want to use this as fuel for the book you're going to write? Do you want to use this to light a fire under your ass and say, never again am I going to let anything less than myelofibrosis stop me in what I'm committed to bringing into this world? They get to choose, right? And all we're doing, we're not telling them they have to do any of that. We're just supporting them and seeing that throughout all of this, there is a choice in how they show up. Take a sec to read what Diana has written. Until it's so easy to take the God role and being tempted to dictate the client's destiny. Yes, indeed. Aiming to avoid it as a coach. Yeah. So much of this requires we do our own work, because however that it is totally acceptable, and it's hard for us in the coaching profession to really allow for this, it's totally acceptable to be a victim. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, it's not better or worse than being a leader. We relate to it like it is, but it's actually not. It's just a choice with consequences and benefits to the choice that you make. And so our job is to get past our own suggestions, thoughts, judgments, feelings about how someone should show up, and really just, again, present them with the reality of the choice they're making, and then let them choose. So we remind them, here's the choice in front of you, and we put them at that choice. How do you want to be? Is this how you want to continue forward? No? Okay, great. What are we going to choose from here? No one else in this person's life is going to support them this way. It just doesn't happen. When people, when I was being trained, one of the people going through the program with me was diagnosed with MS, which was really scary for her, especially because that disease is so weird. It's a symptomatic thing. We don't really have much knowledge about it. There's a lot of unknown. And she got a tremendous amount of support. And it was hard at times to watch this happening, because I wanted to support her. I can only distinguish this now. I wanted to support her in being victimized by her MS. And the leaders of our work were standing for her to actually be a leader in the face of it, to choose something outside of that. So that's one of the most powerful gifts that we can provide our client, is being one of the few people that love them, hold the space for them to show up any way they want, and then be a stand for them to choose the way they're going to be. A brilliant book on this topic is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, I think he's passed away now, was I believe he was a psychologist, a PhD in something or other, and I think his profession was psychology. And he was a Jew in, I think, Poland, sent to Auschwitz during the Holocaust. And the book is really his account of the horrors and how that happened and what he learned from it. He was one of the few that survived that ordeal. And he reflects how the Nazis took away everything. They took away your most basic human dignity. They took away your food. They took away your ability to have sustenance. They even took away your sexual drive, which makes sense. You don't think about these things when you're starving and just wondering if you're going to live through the end of the next day. They took away everything. And at the end of all that, there was one thing that they could never take away. And that was his ability to choose how he was going to relate to and be in his situation. And that is the core of all of the work we do. So that's ultimately the gift you can bring your client as well, is to give him, to presence him back to the fact that, yeah, it fucking sucks. And fuck you, universe, for giving me this. And at the end of the day, I still get a choice. And it's from that place that the greatest gifts your client has can come to the fore. So I hope that's helpful. I think it's just such an incredibly valuable question that you're asking, Steve. And I really, again, I just want to acknowledge you for leaning in with this client and getting supported and being a stand for them. That is not easy. And most of us in these situations are like, don't be a stand for me. Just agree with me that this sucks. And if that's all that you do, all that your client wants right now, you're doing great work too. All right. Peace. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.